Hello and welcome back to the Magic Kathy Show, and an episode that is basically a transcript of a YouTube video, but I want to have it here on the podcast as well because it's just so cosmic poetry, as I always love to say. It's about the upcoming Cancer season, which basically is next week, and we are also moving into the solstice, so it's this very important portal for another 6 months that kickstarts off in Cancer season, because Cancer season starts with the full moon in Capricorn and ends with the full moon in Capricorn. And some of you might wonder, why do we have 2 full moons in Capricorn? That's a good question to ask because that's not common. Usually in every season we have a full moon and we have a new moon. Full moon always being when the sun is exactly opposite the moon, and a new moon when the sun and the moon meet. So why do we have that happening twice in Cancer season? Sometimes, in rare occasion, it actually happens this way to align. And this year it will be in Capricorn, which, you know, everything we've been through the last years when it comes to Capricorn is obviously, there's so much to say about that. And that's not the only thing that inspired me to do the video and like really show you the charts. It's literally like my astrologer heart is, it's insane. It's like literally cosmic poetry, because the first full moon in Capricorn, which happens right on the solstice, right when the sun moves into Cancer, means right at the beginning of Capricorn as well, because it's actually happening at 1 degree. And the last, or the second full moon that we will have, happens right before the sun moves into Leo, meaning at the very end of Cancer Capricorn, so also at 29 degrees, which is a master degree. 29 and 1 degree or 0 degree, that's like master degrees. Like, how can you have a full moon at the very end and at the very beginning of the zodiac? It's like almost like putting, I get this visual of putting, it's just like, it's in a box. Like that Capricorn season is boxed with like releases, and that Cancer season is boxed with releases and with like this final ending, and obviously the whole story playing into that with the second full moon in Capricorn too, which I will go even deeper in the video, or like in the podcast that you will listen to here. It's basically in a conjunction with Pluto at the very end of Capricorn and retrograding. So it's this, and in the next 6 months it will be the last time that we will have and witness in our life Pluto and Capricorn. So there's so much dying and releasing, and like the last bits of structures of that Capricornian limitations and boundaries and laws, it's all gonna be dismantled and shattered. And the reason I wanted to already prepare you for that and show you the charts, it's because it's also working with that new moon and the Venus star point that we had in Gemini. So there's this story, Gemini, right, playing out here in the cosmos, in our personal life. And the more we tap into that, I think the more we can really shift in a huge way. I've definitely noticed a lot of shifts in my personal life, in my personal realizations, and you know, everything that I want to build from here. The podcast will move into a different direction. I'm moving into a different direction. Really excited about it, finally having the clarity, but also needing to let go of a lot of like habits and controlling issues and like things that I thought I would plan this way, but then it's moving me into a different direction. So that flexibility really needs to be present because of so many things that are going to shift and unfold. And so I'm excited about it and wanted to share that with you. If you want to go into the charts, if you want to geek out even deeper and you want to have the visuals, again, it's on YouTube as well. I will link it down below in the show notes. But other than that, I think you also have a lot of takeaways when you listen to this episode and really feel into what it means that we have this really significant alignment, and how that story is already unfolding and starting now. Obviously, the new moon in Gemini and Jupiter in Gemini and all of the Gemini energies that we have. I think the most important thing that I also want to say, it's about really understanding what needs to be dismantled and restructured inside of you, So don't be too distracted by what's going on in the external world, all the news and all the buzz and all the mental overdrive that you see right now too. It's more about tapping into your own self and your own story, the story of your life. That's also why I did the episode with the pineal gland, and how you are being programmed and programming your cells basically with everything you watch and you energize with your inner eyes, right? So yeah, definitely listen to that episode a few times so you get really the gist of it and really go into depth with that. So of that being said, I'm also inviting you to our full moon circle for the solstice next week on Friday. All the links are down below. You can join us. And yeah, get excited and let me know what you feel like is going to happen to the podcast, because maybe some of you can already guess, maybe not. It's going to be probably launching around the second full moon in Capricorn, because it's in a conjunction with Pluto, so a transformation needs to be there. But it was birthed basically around, the Venus star point and like lots of magical alignments. Anyways, I am excited for that, and in the process of it, preparing everything. And it's interesting because even in the solar return of the podcast, I saw that there's a lot of Uranus energy, and I'm like, okay, shift's going to happen. What will it be? And obviously the podcast, I always say, it's its own little entity and energy, and it's gonna shift into a mature version of itself. And yeah, I'm really excited to be moving into that direction. So yeah, if you want to share something that you have in mind, or also if you have any recommendations or desires to see or hear on the podcast, let me know. I would love to, obviously being a projector, know what is most helpful, what is most beneficial, what you love the most about the podcast. Please share it with me on Instagram, Magic Kathy Official. Share your guesses as well, and share the episode. Watch on YouTube, and let me know your main takeaways so we can be in a dialogue. You can talk about these things. I always love to hear how much it resonates or doesn't resonate. You can share any feedback. I'm always happy to hear that. But I'm going to shut up now and let you listen to the cosmic poetry that is going to happen over the next 4 weeks and 6 months, so you can best prepare how you step in your magic. Well, hello. It's been a hot minute that I recorded an in-depth astrology video here on YouTube, but I have so much to share relative to the next 6 months that kickstarted just right now with the new moon in Gemini, and I need to share charts because, as I always like to say, it's cosmic poetry, and I really want you to see all of the synchronicities that we are going to witness and live through up until December. It's a window of time, and when I just look at the astrology, that really will shift and transform the entire world. And I'm not just saying that lightly or because I'm a Leo and like to make everything a drama. No, like it's really something that will have a huge effect. And I mean, over the next 6 months, you can imagine all of the global things that are meant to happen anyways. July 4th, we have the elections, we have all of these things, right? And just looking at the astrology, I want you to really have that awareness and be open towards that. The entire cosmos is really inviting us to change on a fundamental level and to overhaul the entire structure of our own personal lives, but then also of obviously the world we live in. And it is very connected to that entire story that we've been living through since 2020. So let me explain to you, looking at the charts, what is actually happening so you can best prepare and also lie a new foundation and framework for your own personal life, because that's really required for all of us. And it's really a story that ends at the 31st of December with actually a new moon in Capricorn. And interestingly enough, we have 2 full moons in Capricorn in July. And it couldn't be more cosmic poetry how they are lined up. The first one being at 1 degrees of Capricorn, the second one at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So when I just saw that, I'm like, how is this possible? Like 2 full moons, which is not always happening, but then it's at the very beginning and at the very end of Capricorn, which also means that there's something that needs to be released, obviously, in that entire spectrum of energy, of Capricorn energy, which we relate to the foundation, to the structures, to the rules, to the laws, to all of that, right? And in the middle of that, we have a sandwich new moon in Cancer, which happens to have Venus at the exact opposite point where we had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020. So we can see how that's obviously a story that is working on a deeper level. But then in the middle of that, we also have Mars activating the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction point in Taurus. So we will have also Mars in a conjunction with Uranus in Taurus, which means that unexpected things are going to happen. Things that we could not plan for relative to the earth, relative to our values, relative to our new understanding about life after the eclipse seasons, and obviously from everything we've been going through since 2020. And then on top of that, we have in December, new moon in Gemini. That is new moon in Sag, sorry, and a full moon in Gemini that is very connected to the new moon we just had in Gemini. So let me share my screen and show you the chart so you can follow along with everything that I'm saying. And we are going to start with, as you see, we just came out of this new moon in Gemini, which basically had in a conjunction Venus that was just moving or is also in a conjunction with the sun. So we have new moon and the moon and the sun and Venus all together here in Gemini, which is interesting because at the end of the year, we will have where is it? That is, yes, it's the full moon in Scorpio that happens to be, so let me yeah, I mean, we can take that into, yeah, it's the full moon in Scorpio in November, right after obviously important electional dates in the States. But that full moon is in Scorpio, which happens to be very close to, obviously, in a conjunction with Uranus, which in itself will be electrifying and like wild. But then you see that Mercury is at the exact opposite point where we just had that wild new moon with Venus rising from the underworld, so to speak, right, as a morning star. And then again, that story that was just activated over the last days will be again coming up with this intense full moon, because Jupiter also is exactly where, or like right in the orb of where we just had the new moon. So the story that has been, or the seeds that have been planted on this new moon on a personal and global level, I always emphasize it's personal and it's global, will be coming up again in November, right? But not only that, on top of it, right here, which will be close. So that's the full moon in Gemini, right? Obviously, that's a new moon in Gemini. And then the full moon in Gemini on mid-December, basically, will have Jupiter pretty much exactly where we just had the new moon, right? So that window, November, December, will bring, it's an entire month basically, November, December, will bring up that entire story that we just started, that we might not even know clearly what it's all about yet, right? Will be more evident and more, clear than at the end of the year. So why do I even talk about that? It's because it leads us into Capricorn season. And that brings me into the story that I wanted to talk about, because new moons always build up to the full moon. So the new moon just started in Gemini, right? New moon June 6th. And the next full moon, so the next
release point, right, is in obviously 2 weeks later, and that happens to be a full moon in Capricorn. And look at this full moon in Capricorn. It is in a conjunction again with Venus, so she's still playing in, and Mercury. Obviously, the ruler of this new moon was Mercury, right? And then on top of that, also, obviously, Venus was playing her part here too. So again, Venus and Mercury very close to this full moon, but it is, as we can see, at 1 degrees of Capricorn. And the beginning degrees of every zodiac are very critical. It's like, master degrees, like the 0 and 1s, and obviously the final ones, which Neptune is at the final degree point, interestingly enough. So that's obviously very important. So something is being released at the very beginning of that Capricorn archetype that is playing into 2 weeks later, 22nd of June, or no, let's say 22nd of June, 4 weeks later, we have another full moon in Capricorn. Yes. We have another full moon in Capricorn, which also happens to be the solstice, right? Just gonna put that out there too. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not the solstice. The solstice is actually that point right here, 1 degrees of Capricorn. So 1 degrees of Cancer, that's exactly when we have the solstice and start this new beginning in that Capricorn area there, where we still need to release some shit that we might not even be aware of, right? But then 4 weeks later, we have a second full moon in Capricorn, right? But in a conjunction with Pluto, that's in itself very intense. Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, it really marks the point of a start of, completely new era for that entire Capricorn archetype. And it almost feels like we are doing that just in those 4 weeks, right? And something around this new moon in Gemini really brought it to our attention that it's time now. And we are being pushed, so to speak, over the next lumination cycle. So again, the full moon in Capricorn, the first one, and then also the full moon in Capricorn, the second one. It's like overhaul that entire framework of Capricorn archetype. And Mars on that day just entered Gemini. So again, 0 degrees, 0 degrees, last degree. So it's like really pointing a finger and like making everything pretty much urgent to overhaul the foundation, the structure, the rules, like everything to the ground up, so we can best prepare for what's about to come over the next 6 months. And so in the middle of that, we will have right here, a new moon, obviously also in Cancer that we can't deny, and the middle of Cancer. And oh, look at that, Venus is playing her part here again. Why? Because Venus happens to be at the very opposite side where we had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020 that kickstarted everything that we've been through over the last 4 years. So that's not a coincidence at all, right? That's definitely cosmic poetry, as I like to say. And the story of 2020 coming back full center, we are being faced with it. What has it been all about globally, personally, all of that, right? And where did we implement these changes? How did we already change the structure and the foundation of our lives, right? How in alignment is it with our soul and our true path and our true value? Mars and is literally about to meet up with Uranus. So this might be really the time for us to build a new home, build a new nurturing environment for ourselves and for the collective.
I hope that you enjoy this episode. I already took some notes, and I wanted to interrupt real quick to remind you of one of my favorite tools and systems really to explore and decode your energetic blueprint, what you're all about, your essence, all of these things, which obviously I blend evolutionary astrology with the gene keys and human design and really help you map out your energetic strength and how you can step into your brightest light and the highest expression, to say it in the terms of the gene keys, all of that. And if you would like to have a deep dive on your energetic blueprint, on your prism, on what your cells are really here for, and would like to decode some programming, get rid of all of the gunk in your DNA that is not yours to carry any longer, so you can move forward into this, age of Aquarius, into the future, into this liberated human being that you're meant to be. And yeah, if you would like to do that in a breakthrough session, let me know, reach out to me. I have a few spots available every month to really activate the new leaders, the new humans, the new people, basically everyone who, or anyone who hears the call, because it's, you know, it's time for us now to prepare the entire planet for this huge shift. And we need everyone to be online, in meaning not online, but online with their agenda and what they signed up for. Remember why they came here. Remember the light that they are meant to be. Because if everyone, I always say that, really plays the puzzle piece in the grand picture that we all build together, then the picture will be completed. But if some piece is missing, if your piece is missing, if you are a different puzzle piece, right, the picture looks off, right? If you don't play the song or the tone that you're meant to play in the symphony of existence, and yeah, the vibe is off, you know, and we need the vibe to be really on and really high vibe. And if you know, fuck, I'm here for this, I'm here to prepare the planet, I'm here to really make or contribute to the shift, then please let me guide you to your highest expression. Reach out, Magic Kathy Official on Instagram, or info@abracadabra.baby.de. Links are down below in the show notes as always. So I'm going to stop interrupting now so you can listen deeper into all of the rabbit holes that we went together here in this episode. Have fun with that. And yeah, I pray to be activating you soon.
When we have that second full moon, it's with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. It's like a start of like really a new life. And then at the end of the year, yeah, we have Pluto again after retro, like being direct again with the full moon, with the new moon in Capricorn, at the very end of the year. So it's like, it screams end times to me, but in a way where we still have the power to create the way we want to move forward after the end times, right? Because there will be things not working out the way we planned, because planning is over. You know, even in human design, we say that it's like we move out of the cross of planning, right? So we have to be flexible, which is very Gemini too. Like we have to be adaptable to the changes that are still occurring. And I'm saying that so you can work with the energies, right? And know what your assignment is in those crazy times. But know that whatever came up for you on the new moon here, it's really like work with the energies, because you can see, you know, Mars at the very degrees of Aries. We still have that Aries energy, North Node energy, and it's still working with the eclipses that we had. It's not something that, you know, is moving out of our field so quickly. And so it's about really facing what we are meant to face right now. And wherever we are not sovereign, wherever we are not building our own foundation, wherever we still externalize our power, that's what needs to go up until the end of the year. Otherwise, we are really like screwed, I want to say, moving into 2025. And obviously even further. So obviously, if you have any personal planets working with these energies, or you feel like, fuck yeah, there's something that the universe is really trying to get my attention, I always advise you to maybe have a personal reading, you know, especially if you have a lot of Capricorn, Cancer energy, Gemini energy that is working with you, or obviously you've worked deeply with that Uranus energy in Taurus. So it's, and you know, the fixed signs don't like change too much, right? So I know it's not easy. We've been through a lot already over the last 4 years, but if you've resisted change, and a lot of the collective energy is still resisting some changes and might be shocked about all the revelations that are about to come, I'm just putting that out there, a lot will be coming to the surface, what actually happened underneath the surface, right, over the last 4 years. And that has a lot to do with also Taurus, the body, right, healthcare system, all of these kinds of things. Neptune at the very end degrees of and Saturn in Pisces, there will be revelation and news, Gemini, coming from the surface, from the underworld, where you're like, fuck, I never thought this was even possible that actually was going on, right? And it's gonna be the world upside down, and a lot of third eyes being forced to be open, right? So I'm just putting that out there. If you want to learn more about, your third eye and pineal gland and how to shield your energy, I just had let me stop sharing my screen. I posted a video on Instagram about it, and also a podcast on my YouTube, on my podcast. I will link it down below, talking all about these energies. With Jupiter and Gemini over the next year, it's also about really discerning how we are influencing our own mental thought processes and belief systems, and how there are templates being radiated towards us. Let's just put that, right, to our brainwaves, to our electricity, to our entire energetic field, that might want us to believe something. And we have to really be discerning and, understand how we are programming ourselves and our cells all the time. And so everything that you look at with your visual eyes is being programmed into your pineal gland, and is basically what will then dictate how your reality might unfold. Again, if you want to know more about that, listen to the podcast and watch the video on Instagram. Maybe that might be helpful to just stay observant, to not take everything as face value, and to first of all connect with your own values. And that should be the way you set up your future, the foundation, all of the things that we just talked about. And so before you look into what's going to happen globally, I always invite you to look at how you work with these energies on a personal level. What is right here, right now, Gemini, right, in your immediate environment? Why are you placed there? Who are the people that are coming towards you? Right now, we just moved into Gene Key 45, which is all about your fractal, finding your fractal, right? Who are the people that you synergize with, right? The way we change the world is by our own frequency and what we emit out there into the world, right? And so you always set the example or the energetic voting for, what you want to see and how you want to build the future, how you want to build for the collective. It comes from not you going out there and doing something necessarily for, in a political way. You can do that, obviously, but it's more so about, with my frequency, with my energy, with the way I use my energy and what I engage with, right? That's the way I vote for the future. That's the actual voting that we need to do. No other voting is required, right? And so the way you lay the groundwork and foundation for the new world is by laying the foundation and groundwork for your own foundation first, right? That sets the example on an energetic level for the entire field. And obviously you can then, Gemini, speak about it, scream it from the rooftops, the values you want to see, the conversations you want to have, the things we need to address, all of these things, living by example, essentially. So yeah, again, if you feel highly activated, if you have a lot going on, a lot of shifting, a lot of ideas, maybe also that's Gemini, right, that come to us right now, so we can birth this new place that is required for all of us in order to live, a more stable life again. Because the things are only so shaky and unstable because we have built our own safety and security on shaky ground, but we haven't realized that, right? And the shaky ground being all of these external powers and forces and institutions that happen to be not as safe as we thought, not as stable as we thought. And we basically put all of our eggs into that basket. And now we wonder why we are left with no eggs at all, right? No support at all. And at the end of the day, also learn through that, well, maybe I can actually support myself and I don't even need to externalize my power like that. That's the highest expression of these transits, but it will force a lot of people to wake up on a level that could shock them to the core, where they might literally lose their shit, and we'd have to just stay in our heart and compassion also for those people that have really been still sleeping or didn't want to know what's been going on over the last 4 years. And when all of these things come to the surface, it's gonna be a rocky ride, right? So, first support yourself, put your own oxygen mask on, but then also understand that if you are in the position to even watch this video, to have that awareness, to question things already, you are in a very good position energetically to hold space for others too. So we need everyone to be there for each other, to work together and not against each other, and to support each other during these wild times. And the next 6 months will be wild times. Cancer season will be wild. So yeah, and I haven't even mentioned, we going into the solstice, right? And then obviously we will also end with the solstice at the end of the year in December. So that 6 months window, as I said in this video, as I explained in the charts, it's gonna be world upside down. It's gonna be a lot of shifts. It's gonna be even more wildness. But I do really feel that it's a purge and it's a cleansing and it's an opportunity for all of us to really finish the work that we started to do in 2020 that was activated then, that will now come back full circle and really check in with us. Okay, how much of that have we done? Because again, Pluto moving back into Aquarius also over the next 6 months, and then finally never being moving back into Capricorn, and then finally never being back in Capricorn again. So it's the last dying phase of that entire structure that is not in alignment with the way we should work here and live here as human beings. So with all that being said, if you would like to have a deeper dive into your own charts, into your purpose, into why you came here during these wild times, reach out to me, Magic Kathy Official on Instagram, or you send me an email. All the infos are down below, because we need everyone to be on board. Like, we need everyone to play the puzzle piece that they are meant to play, right? In the big picture that we're all creating together. I always say that, right? Otherwise, there is no way we can create the new picture, right? So get activated, right? Don't let anything stop you from standing in your power and from doing the work that you came here to do, because otherwise, yeah, all screwed. Because we need you, we need me, we need everyone to be on board, to be ready to say, okay, I came here to build the new web, right, with my light. So I'm going to do that. And if I don't know what it is, then I have tools out there to help me move into my light and understand and remember my light and remember why I came here. There's no excuse anymore, right? There's no I don't know anymore. We are not accepting that. If someone tells me I don't know, it's just like I don't want to know, because then I have to take action. And if you really don't know, again, here are tools to help you remember. So please remember, let me know what you are feeling with these energies. If you feel that intensity, down below in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, to the podcast, and also to Instagram, obviously, if you want to have more updates. I share them every week on Instagram and very frequently on my podcast as well. All the links down below. We will speak very soon. Hold in tight and step in your magic.